Yesterday was finally the day. Kenny Pickett was able to speak to the Philadelphia Eagles media for the first time after the Pittsburgh Steelers trade, and he was able to clear the air on multiple rumors that have been going on surrounding his name and the team's quick breakup. But first, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss out on Pittsburgh Steelers updates, especially throughout free agency. Also, like the video. Let's get right back into it. So, earlier in the week, Kenny Pickett was traded to the Eagles by the Steelers. The Steelers got back a 3rd round pick and 2 7th round picks, but sent away Kenny Pickett and a 4th rounder. And it was kind of a big news topic surrounding Kenny Pickett and why the trade actually happened. A lot of rumors have been going around basically saying Kenny Pickett was not happy with the Steelers. He felt as though they betrayed him in the Russell Wilson situation. And then it dated all the way back to the Seahawks game last year, where apparently he sat out because of injury, but then the rumors have been going on saying that he actually just did not want to dress because he was mad at the team at how they handled his situation in terms of playing quarterback Mason Rudolph over him and even Mitchell Trubisky. So those rumors have been going on, and then Kenny Pickett just yesterday was finally able to speak to the media. Obviously, in that opening press conference after you get traded, you meet with the media, you speak to them, they ask you a lot of questions, and he was able to clear the air on multiple fronts. This is what he had to say on certain topics. And I'm going to start off with this quote from Kenny Pickett about wanting a fresh start, because this is very eye-opening for everything else in the interview. So here it is. Here's the quote. "I just thought it was time. It just felt like it was time from the things that transpired and wanting to get a chance to go somewhere else and continue to grow my career. And the fact that it's Philly, the place I grew up, found a love for the game here with a great coaching staff, great players." And then he continued on basically saying, "I just think it's a good reset. I think getting a chance to play on this team in that quarterback room with a couple of great guys, helping those guys out in any way I can, and just be ready if my number is called somewhere down the road. It's a crazy, crazy league, crazy business, just trying to put my best foot forward and be an asset for this team." End quote. So, basically, what you could say from reading that quote, listening to it, or whatever, is he asked for the trade. He obviously wanted to move on. He makes that very clear. He thought it would be a good part of his career to move on from. He called it a good reset and thought it was time to move on. So basically, he confirmed with all the rumors basically saying that he wanted out. He did not deny it, and he basically wanted out of Pittsburgh, and he's happy that he's now in Philadelphia, in which he grew up a fan of the Eagles. So now let's move on to another quote from him, basically talking about the Russell Wilson signing. He was asked a question about it, and this is what he had to say. "I think the communication, is what it is. It was behind closed doors. I'm confident in the way I handled it. I handled it the way I should have handled it. I'm excited to be here. It worked out so well that Philly was the place I ended up landing in. So I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be." End quote. Just looking at that, he could have answered that question so much better, but obviously all the rumors have been going on about him and how he handled the Russell Wilson situation poorly, and that's what ended up leading to the trade. From this quote, it sounds as if it's true. Who knows if it is, but from that reading that quote, that's what it sounds like. He did not deny it. He basically said that he handled the way he should have handled it, and the way he handled it ended up leading to a trade. So he basically did not deny that he handled the situation in a bad way that led to the trade. He basically agreed with all the rumors that are going on about him, saying that he was traded because of that situation. But let's move on to another topic. I mentioned the Seattle Seahawks game. This is what he had to say about that game, in which he did not dress for, and he was not even the 3rd emergency quarterback. He just did not dress at all and was inactive. Here's the quote. "There was a plan for that game. It went down exactly the way it was planned to go down that entire week. I was coming off the ankle surgery, so it is what it is, and like I said, very happy to be here." End quote. This question, he answered a little bit more better, I believe, from my perspective, just looking at it, because he could have easily not mentioned his ankle surgery and just mentioned basically the game in general. But the fact that he mentioned his ankle and that he was coming off his surgery, you could interpret it basically saying he was still not ready to play, and that's why he did not dress for the game. And that could be the reason for it, even though all the rumors are saying that he just did not want to play. He was mad at the situation, mad at the way that they're starting Mason Rudolph over him, kind of having the second guy be Mitchell Trubisky. He was not happy about it. That's what all the rumors were saying. But the way he answered this was way better than he answered the first and second question and the quotes I read earlier. So at least this one you can interpret it saying he still wasn't ready and his ankle was still bothering him. One of the last quotes I want to read before I just give my perspective on this whole situation is Kenny Pickett on what he thinks his strengths are right now in the NFL in terms of the quarterback spot. So this is his quote on that topic. I think my accuracy, I think my ability to play in and out of the pocket, get on the move, extend some plays, just being a leader on a team that guys want to play with, guys want to have in the huddle, all those things I feel like I do pretty well. End quote. Well, if those are his strengths, then his strengths turn into his weaknesses with the Pittsburgh Steelers because his accuracy wasn't there. His ability to stay in the pocket wasn't there. He was looking to escape it whenever he had a chance. No matter if the pocket was clean or not clean, his first instinct was to leave the pocket and move out through the back door, which always led to those bad sacks and bad plays throwing off balance. And then him running to the right was a lot better when he escaped the pocket on his right side, way better than when he escaped on his left. But him extending plays, yeah, that was his strength. He extended some plays with his feet, was able to run a little bit. But just being a leader on the team, if you're a leader on the team, you don't end it the way you ended it. You don't sit out that Seahawks game in which everyone's saying that you just didn't want to play and you're mad about the situation and you just sat out because you wanted to sit out. Who knows if it was because of his ankle? We still don't know. Those are still rumors. But those type of leadership moments in that way just weren't there. Also, many of the players also were saying towards the end of the season how they wanted Mason Rudolph to be the starting quarterback the following season. You heard Deontay Johnson say it. You heard George Pickens say it. You heard even other players on the defense say it as well, who aren't even on the offense. So when those players start speaking out and saying that they want a different quarterback to lead the room, then you know your leadership is just not there. There wouldn't be that many outbursts on the sideline with your wide receivers, with the players on your team, if your leadership was there. So obviously those strengths that he is saying that he has are really some weaknesses that he has and some flaws that he has in his game. That's just my perspective on the situation. But him saying that quote, I would expect him to hype himself up. Don't get me wrong, I did not expect him to say anything differently than what he said. But those strengths that he said just aren't true. We did not see that with the team. Anyway, enough with the quotes. Let me just talk about the situation, the topic really quickly and get my thoughts on it. And I'm going to talk about teams not really being patient with young quarterbacks. It comes a time when you know your team is not good and you could take that kind of 5-year contract on a first-round quarterback and see how the quarterback does based off the situation that he's put in. And sometimes they're put in bad situations, so it makes it harder on the young quarterback to kind of really get going. And until they're put in a good situation, you don't really see their great aspects of the game. You see more of their flaws. But there's also quarterbacks who are put in good situations, really good teams, good defense, and everything like that. And you expect to see those abilities from the quarterback right away. And that's kind of the difference in this situation, I believe. You look at Justin Fields, for example. He was put in a situation with Chicago where he was given one of the worst defenses in the league his very first season. And then the second season, kind of new coaches and things like that. Third year, it was his last year on his team. It's basically prove yourself or you're gone. When you know you're going to draft a quarterback, prove yourself or you're gone. So he was going to put in a bad situation. He had to be the superhero of his team. But then you look at Kenny Pickett's situation. He's put on a team where the defense was one of the best defenses in the NFL, creating turnovers, not letting the teams get over 17 points. All you have to do is score more than 17 points to win games, and you would be looked at as a good quarterback. But he was put in such a good situation, so much talent around him from wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, and things of that nature. Maybe the offense line was iffy, but they even improved that. So he was put in a really good situation. His running back, his run game was really good, especially this past season. And he did not have to be that superhero. He just had to do his job, and his abilities did not show. You look at the Chicago situation, like I mentioned, and Justin Fields' ability showed more out in a poor situation than Kenny's did in a good situation. So that's where I look at it as teams not being patient with quarterbacks. If you're on a good team and you have veterans, obviously a team wants to win now. They're not going to sit there and wait for you to develop 5 years and waste a prime of TJ Watt or Cameron Heyward. That's why I'm kind of talking about the situation, because he kind of mentioned it in his press conference about teams not be willing to be patient with quarterbacks. He agreed with that. So obviously a team's not going to be patient when they don't see anything from you. They don't see improvement from year 1 to year 2. And you got benched and a third stringer played better than you did the entire season. So that's my situation and talk on Kenny Pickett and his topics. One final thing I want to say before I end this video. I mentioned it earlier in the video, but Kenny Pickett moving to Philadelphia and wanting to trade out of Pittsburgh just really does not make sense. Other than if he just wanted to leave Pittsburgh and had wanted nothing to do with the Steelers anymore. Then he got his wish. But if his wish was to be a quarterback and still be competitive, and if he left because of the Russell Wilson signing and he was going to be the starter, then why would he want to go to Philadelphia? He continues to say that he's happy to be there. Yes, that was your team growing up, but you have basically no chance of playing unless a quarterback gets injured, like Jalen Hurts gets injured. You have a better chance of, hey, Russell Wilson's not it. Maybe they made a mistake. He's only being paid $1 million. Sure, Kenny Pickett, you're right back in there playing. But the Philadelphia Eagles, they're not going to bench Jalen Hurts for Kenny Pickett. There's absolutely no way. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. I believe it's like top 3 or something. There's no way Kenny Pickett has a chance to even play on that team unless in 3 years or whatever his contract's over and he moves on. But even then, he had a better chance of playing in Pittsburgh than he does with the Eagles. So that trade in terms of wanting to play just does not make sense. Either way, he's going to be a backup and he had a better chance of playing actually with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But hey, the Steelers got some value back for him. He obviously didn't want to be here anymore. He said it many times. So move on. And now the Pittsburgh Steelers have Russell Wilson, and Kenny Pickett gets to be with his favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. With that being said, let's end this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on this topic about Kenny Pickett's first interview with the Eagles media and him exposing some things about the situation in Pittsburgh. Do you agree with the way it ended? Do you not? Do you think the Steelers should have kept him, traded him? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about this topic in general. Also, like I said at the beginning of this video, free agency is here. A lot of moves have been happening. I cover it all. So make sure you turn on notifications and subscribe to this channel. Also, like the video. I'll see you guys all later. Hopefully very soon for the next free agency signing or even trade. But until then, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.